Hello, my name is Carol Eaton, and I'm a superintendent in Winchester of Winchester Public Schools. And I would like to thank Channel 19 very much for the opportunity today for myself to be able to explain the state of the schools in Winchester as a result of our recent heavy rain and flood that we all experienced in the last week, in the last 5 days. I'd like to start off by saying how very thankful the public schools are, all the school people and the school committee, for the hard work that the town staff has put in to make sure that this town was safe for students, safe for all of us, but especially for all of the students to be able to come to school K through 8 this week and begin a regular educational experience. I'd like to thank the town manager, Chad Moore, who really spent as much time as any human being possibly could in making all of the departments work as a team, and Tony Celli with the Department of Public Works, and Joe Tabby with the Public Health, and Joe Paratano with as a Chief of Police, and Charlie, Chief McNutt of the Fire Department. Without all of those emergency services and really working overtime, the town and the public schools would have really been in a bad way. It was a wonderful team effort. And from that team effort of the town, that all we have seen since the K through 8 portion of the school was back in operation is teamwork from that angle too. I want to start out by looking at school by school what the situation is as a result of the water damage. And I think probably what is of prime interest of most of people is Winchester High School, because Winchester High School sustained serious damage, and we have not been able to have school for the students any of the time this week, and we will not be having students in the high school next week. And at the end of my remarks today, I will describe just a bit about what's going to happen so that parents of high school students and high school students themselves know that we have a plan and know that everything will move forward in a very positive way. In all of the cases that I'm about to describe where the school situations had leakage, damage, or whatever, I want to assure parents and the community in general that safety of the students and safety of our staff, safety of any of the workers is really our prime interest. We're not going to have any students or staff or workers in an area that is not safe, and we're working very closely with the public health, and we're working with state officials on assuring the fact that everything is totally safe. Beginning with the high school. Just to explain what you perhaps have already heard or read, that everything from the first floor on up at the high school is in the same shape it was before the rain and before the flood. The damage that the high school incurred was in the basement area, where all of the controls for the entire high school system, the controls are located. And that is the problem in a nutshell. Those controls, and I'm talking about for electricity, for the telephones, for ventilation, for heat, for everything, were submerged. And we're still experiencing groundwater that is flowing into the basement area in crawl space as well as the basement. Several people have taken tours of the basement, and I believe that the selectmen will be escorted on a tour of that area tomorrow, which is Saturday in the afternoon. What we're waiting for right now is the opportunity for Boston Edison to go in and take a look at how to get back all of our systems. They're going to be and eventually be the manager, along with the Department of Public Works, of getting the system back in operation. At this time, an assessment of when high school students and teachers will be able to be back in the high school operating on a normal schedule is unknown. As soon as that information is made available, believe me, the school department and the town will make that information available to all the parents. Again, going back to safety, there were never any hazardous waste materials in the water that was flowing from the basement into the drain as it was being pumped out. As of today, at about noon, the Public Health Department was notified by the state that any athletic fields that had been covered by water that could have come from any hazardous materials or any sewerage, that those fields have to be treated with, ironically enough, watered down and then have limestone placed upon them. And that is exactly what the town departments are doing as quickly as possible. And that, however, does not mean that there will not be a football game tomorrow on Saturday against Melrose. That is the field that was treated first today. So that if you hear any information about that, the town acted as quickly as it possibly could. Dave Berman has been doing a great job. He's the director of athletics in communicating with people, with students and coaches regarding the change in schedule because of that information about how the fields needed to be treated. This week, for the last 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, Susan Morse, who is the high school principal, has been working with her staff, putting in very, very full days, planning activities, which will begin on Monday with the students. And I'm not going to give any of the details about the program or the planning that Susan and her staff have done during the week. I'm going to let them explain that as soon as my remarks are done. So if anyone is worried about anything above the first floor in the high school, they need not worry anymore. Everything is in very good shape. Obviously, what was lost in the basement was some equipment. We lost the bulk of our paper goods and paper supplies for the school year, and we will do our very best to have that go on the list of things that need to be replaced. Moving on to the Lynch School, there were 2 rooms that sustained leakage. One room was sufficient enough to move a 5th grade room to the library at Lynch School. I stopped in that room myself yesterday, and they were having a fine educational experience with Mr. Mike Moreno. It was an excellent situation, and he felt good about it. And the carpet will be coming up from that room, and something will go down on the floor, tile or carpet. There will be more to report on that. Lincoln and McCall sustained leakage during the weekend as well, and due to the custodial staff of both of the schools working during the day to pump the water out of areas that traditionally leak in both schools, on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, the schools were in very good shape. Ambrose, as you may have read in the newspaper, was used as a first aid disaster evacuation center, and members of the community who were evacuated to that area were told that they could be returned to their homes midday on Wednesday. Ambrose sustained some of the usual leaks that it always sustains when there's heavy rain. Vincent Owen also suffered the usual leakage, but it was not anything near, obviously, to what some of the other schools sustained as far as leakage. Morocco, the basement was flooded, but in general, school was fine. The school was fine when we returned to business on Wednesday. As some of you may know, the water from several different areas encroached very close to Morocco and encroached very closely to Lynch, but neither of them sustained any more than the minor leakage damage that I referred to. Just to repeat that all of our K through 8 schools have been running business as usual since Wednesday. And again, to repeat, there will be an alternate schedule for the high school students during the course of next week, and that will be explained in full to you in just a moment from Susan Morse and Roseanne Innes. The high school staff has been incredible during the last 3 days, working together, completely changing their own individual programs, their own individual content areas. And this is what the students of Winchester will be able to experience coming up this week. A real team effort has been made to pull together to make the school experience as close to next week as possible. It will be school outside of the school building. And I think that will be very exciting for students, perhaps, who are used to a more traditional setting. It's been very, very exciting to see them working together. At this point in time, again to repeat for high school parents, that we will make an announcement as soon as we possibly can as to how soon we expect students to be able to move back into the high school. We have been looking at all sorts of options for placement of the high school students in case there is a longer period of time that we have to wait to have the high school ready and safe for the students. Every effort will be taken in terms of making the air quality safe, and that machinery is not running at the time that the students are in the building. There have been calls to my office, I believe calls to the town manager's office about safety and air quality. I want to reassure people that until everything is 100% normal, no students, no teachers will be in that building. My last comments before I turn it over to Sue Morse. I want everybody in the community to look at this as an opportunity to work together, to see this as a team opportunity, and that some of the most exciting things that our society has developed and that education has developed has come out of having to pull together in a time that has really been a serious emergency or a disaster. Certainly what I've seen from the teachers and the staff, the custodians, everybody, all of the people who have been involved, they're seeing this as an opportunity. And the decision that we make about where the high school students will go to school in the interim between now, Friday, October 25th, and the time that they are able to return to the high school, we are framing this in a way that it keeps the community in mind, involves all of the parties, the parents, the teachers, the students, the administrators. There will be as much communication as we possibly can offer so that all parties feel that they have been made part of the decision. But we will make the decision based upon what is best for the students. What we believe as far as this community is concerned, that we are a community, that we work as a team. And I think that's the most important thing that we need to think about as we work through this problematic situation and solve it and come out with really positive benefits. And at this time, I would like to turn the next portion of this informational program over to Susan Morse, principal of Winchester High School.
Thank you, Dr. Eaton. I'd like to tell you just a little bit about some of the plans that we have for the students of Winchester High School for next week. On Monday, we look forward to greeting all of the students back at school. Of course, it won't be at Winchester High School. We'll be greeting the 9th grade students at the McCall Auditorium at 9 o'clock. They'll begin there with an assembly with me and with some of their teachers where I'll talk about what the week has in store for them. Following that, they'll be going over to the Knights of Columbus, where they will be running through a mini schedule of their day. There, they'll have an opportunity to meet with each one of the subject areas and collect academic assignments that we've prepared for them that will cover a lot of next week. From there, we'll go on to the high school together with a group of faculty members where all the students will have an opportunity to go to their lockers, and they should take out from their lockers all of their books and materials that they'll need for their work for next week. At about 11:15, there will be a bus for those bus students that will be waiting for them at the high school to then take them back home. At 10 o'clock, the 10th grade students will begin the very same process at McCall, go along to the Knights of Columbus for mini classes, and then on to the high school. At 11 o'clock, the 11th graders will begin that process, and at 12 o'clock, the seniors will begin that process. The only thing that's different is that for the seniors, there will be time built in for all of them to meet for a stretch of time with their guidance counselors, specifically for the seniors on this, because we know that there's a great deal of concern for them about colleges and their experiences after high school, and we want to make sure that we let them know that there's a plan in mind for all of that, and we'll make sure that all of that is taken care of. That's the plan for Monday. And then the plan for the rest of the week, we've provided a week of structured alternative experience for the students. We need to think of ourselves as a school without walls for the next week. And as Dr. Eaton said, it's been an exciting process for the faculty to work together to look at education in a different fashion for the coming week. Attendance will be taken, and we expect to see all of the students there throughout the week. We're looking at next week as a transitional week, as sort of an opening up, as a way of looking at education a little differently, and as a way of taking advantage of the week that has been given to us in this way. We're going to need your help, of course, also in making sure that the week is well structured. We're going to be sending home with your students permission slips that will describe a lot of the activities that we have planned for them and for which we will need a signed permission from you to continue. We're also going to be having parent meetings to talk with you specifically about the plans for next week. Those meetings are planned for Monday evening from 6:30 to 7:30 in the McCall Auditorium for 9th and 10th grade parents, and from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock for the junior and senior parents. If you can't make it for one reason or another to the evening meeting that's assigned to your student, then come to the other one. The reason that we've divided it up that way is to try to balance the two sessions to make sure that everyone has a seat there. In thinking about planning with your student for next week, there are some very practical things that we think that you should think about. When you send them off each day, send them with a lunch. Send them with some food. Not only can we not provide food, of course, from the cafeteria, but many of the activities will have them involved for most of the day. They will not have time to purchase food along their day. So make sure that they have some with them. They should also give some thought about how they dress for themselves for that week. They should be wearing comfortable clothes and particularly comfortable shoes. Next week, we're going to be using our feet as well as our heads. Flexibility is the name of the game for all of us for next week. We ask that your students be flexible in thinking through the opportunities that we're going to provide them, and that you too remain flexible about what we have to offer. You also need to know that sports will be continuing next week. Dave Berman, our AD, has been doing an excellent job of making sure that all of that is organized, and he, as well as your students' coaches, are the primary connections for you to know exactly what the sports program entails for next week. Extracurricular activities will also be continuing, perhaps on a modified basis for next week, but one important message: Spooky World will take place. We'll be going at 6 p.m. from the high school on Monday evening. I know also that rehearsals for Tartuffe, our fall production, will be continuing, and our aim is to continue to offer as full a program as we possibly can, even when the school building is not there for us to be able to do that. When you think about the next week and the alternative schedule, please know the following things. There will be different types of educational experiences going on during the school hours next week, but having information about their basic school courses is also very important to us. We will be providing on a daily basis contact time for your students with their academic teachers, both at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. During the middle portion of the day, they're going to be involved in a variety of activities that I think that they will also find rewarding and enriching. So we're going to be operating on two levels. One is providing a full and exciting program for the week next week, but also maintaining a thread with them of their academic courses so that when we are back in a facility where we can have more traditional classes, they are caught up and ready to move ahead. Teachers and counselors also will be available for all of the students next week. And I want you to know especially that all of the programs and activities that we have planned for next week have been organized and will be supervised by all of the teachers at the high school, the teachers and the staff. They have worked well. They have created an amazing program for next week, and I'm very proud to be working with them. To tell you a little bit more, in more detail, about the program for next week is teacher Roseanne Innes.
Thank you, Sue. Hi, I'm here primarily to explain to you and to walk you through what a day for a student at Winchester High School, not only a day but the whole week, should be like. I want to preface the whole thing by saying that we'd like to dispel some of the rumors that are going around. The first one being that you're going to lose a vacation week or that you're going to have the year extended. At this point in time, the program that we've come up with has enough educational integrity that we can justify. The superintendent and the principal are in touch with the Commissioner of Education of Massachusetts, and they're negotiating that we wouldn't have at this point in time other times. Now, if I may, I'll start with what's going to happen on Monday. Remember, too, that every day the subject area teachers are going to be available to your sons and daughters so that they can go to them regarding assignments that they have, difficulties that they're having, direction that they may be needing. That will be at the beginning of every day and at the close of every day, so that the subject matters and the courses that they're used to following will still be somewhat in their week. But the rest of the week is going to be different than that. But we really feel as though it's a worthwhile program. On Monday is basically our organizational and structural day, and we need that day to introduce all of the elements and the components to the kids. We have to get them signed up in the different courses that they'll be doing, and we need that time for them to get things like permission slips. There's a lot of logistics involved in putting this whole program together for the week. We ask you, please, when they come home on Monday night with permission slips, it's very important that you sign them and send the kids back to school on Tuesday with those permission slips. Otherwise, they may not be able to participate in particular activities that they've already been assigned to do. In regard to transportation, I'll just bring this one item in. During the entire week, transportation to and from various activities will be provided by the town. However, on Monday, there is no school bus per se that will bring the students to school at the required time. So the only option would be for the 9th graders. They can, in fact, get on the McCall school bus in the morning to get themselves down early on in time to the center. After that, the rest of the students have to get their own way into school, or where they're meeting, actually, at 10, 11, 12 o'clock on Monday morning. Now, what is going to be happening? We're basically, and I'm just going to give you a really condensed version, we are dividing the students up into various groups. We have 800 students to deal with, and so we have to form groups of heterogeneous categories of students. We then have a program that involves 4 different and distinct activities or experiences or classes. Every student, all 800 students, will participate in all 4 components, but they'll be doing it in staggered and alternate days. Obviously, we can't provide the same activity for 800 students on any given day. So I'm just going to walk you through a theoretical student who might be in Group 1. And this is what the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, will hold for them. They have some elements of choice and other things are mandatory. But keep in mind throughout the whole thing, attendance is not one of the options. That is mandatory. There is accountability. Teachers will have lists of every student who's supposed to be in their group, and everyone is basically accounted for and to be at a certain place at a certain time. So, with that as a preface, this is what a day or a week could look like. On the first day, on Tuesday, they may in fact be doing a certain activity that comes from the category of academic mini-courses. We have a little catalog of 15 mini-courses that will be offered that day. They can take that catalog and they choose to fill up 4 hours of their time with with 2, 3, depending upon whether the mini course is an hour and a half or an hour long, they will have some elements of choice within this day. The courses are completely varied. They are not related necessarily to subject matter. It could be things of interest. It could be things of interest that they might never have had an opportunity to pursue. But they're all being offered by faculty members. They will all be supervised. There is a purpose for each one of them being offered, and that would be the first day of school on Tuesday. On the second day of school, on Wednesday, they would be involved in what we would call something community service and career opportunities. And on that day, we have a list, and again, there is an element of choice for them, where they may choose which of the various community services and community projects, ranging in as diverse as being a teacher's aide at one of the elementary schools, to actually physically helping with the raking up and cleaning up of things that need to be done around town. Again, all with supervision, all accounted for. There is a component of career development at that in this particular day as well. Now that would account for Tuesday and Wednesday, or they have a different choice and they may choose to take a 2-day seminar that's being called Total Immersion. And that 2-day seminar is going to be something that is just completely revolving around the concept of the flood. And it's being presented by 10 different faculty members, and it will include such varied activities as lectures, guest speakers, directed tour of Hon Pond, the Water Treatment Center, research in the archives of Winchester on past historical floods, watching the movie that is known Flood, which was on public TV, doing some poetry and music and art appreciation and photography involving water. So that would be a 2-day seminar. And your son or daughter can choose that they may either do the 2-day seminar in immersion, or they will do the 2 days that would be divided up in academic mini courses, followed by community service. On the third day, which would be Thursday, the student who's in Group 1, for example, would then have a day that is going to include another choice, and that choice is going to be one of 3 field trips that are being offered, or a day of phys ed, physical education. The 3 field trips that are being offered include one trip that will be to the North End, Freedom Trail, and that historical aspect of Boston. The second one would be to the Constitution, Bunker Hill, Charlestown, Naval Yard, that particular part of Boston. The third field trip would be to the Museum of Science. And as I said, the other one would be to sign up to take a day of entire physical education. And again, they have a whole array of activities ranging from CPR, stress management, volleyball tournament, the whole gamut of things that are offered, project adventure, whatever they might be offering normally during phys ed at that point in time. So again, they would have a choice on that particular day. On the final day of a student from this particular group, there is no choice. They will be participating in a large group that will have the chance to review a film actually in a studio. They will not just be sitting in a classroom somewhere watching this. They will be bused to a regular cinema, which will be showing a movie preceded by a lecture, the historical impact. It has to do with the historical elements. After the movie is over, when they are bused back, they will be sent to various classrooms that are available to us, where they'll be in small discussion groups. There will be an evaluation where they're going to have to come up with a written report type of thing on this particular one. In every one of the day's activities, there is some element of evaluation. There is some element of what it was all about and what they got out of it and what the teachers hope that they will get out of it. You can see that every day is different, and there is some choice to be made. There are other days when there's no choice at all. What you have to understand is we are dealing with 800 students, and they're going to all sign up on Monday, and on Tuesday we have to pass out to them their schedules for the entire week. That's a logistic nightmare, but it's what needs to get done. If your son or daughter comes home and they're unhappy because they did not get their first choice, we've done the best that we can, but we're working within constraints as to how many students can participate in each activity. We have bus limitations, the numbers of students, we have size and space limitations, so you're going to have to just bear with us, but trust in us that we are offering them a wide variety of activities. They're things that we would all like to do with our kids during the course of the year, but we can't because we're always so directed and pushed by our curriculum. It's a chance for them to see things outside of the classroom that are still of educational value. And at the same time, they're all going to be given assignments for every one of their subject matters. And they will take them home. They're going to go to their lockers on Monday. They should take home all of their textbooks. They are responsible for keeping up their homework as such, is to do each night a little bit of whatever the assignments are that their teachers have left for them. Because when we get back into a more conventional setting where we can go on track again with our own subject matter, they are responsible for the assignments that they were given. Their teachers will be available every morning and every afternoon, so if they have questions about the assignments, if they need clarification, all they have to do is just go to that teacher. Plus, it's just nice to have a chance to check in with some of them might even miss a few of their teachers. So we've tried to think of everything and cover all the bases. We've done the best program that we think we can come up with. It's been a very expensive program. It has been a lot of effort for all of the faculty to be creative and come up with this and to figure out how it's all going to happen. We've been given an awful lot of backing and support to have it come into place. We need the students to participate, but it is not an option for them. This is school, and the only way that we can assure the Commissioner of Education that this is in fact school is that we must have the participation of the kids, and they have to do the work that's asked of them. Other than that, we just hope for the best, and hopefully within another week we won't be in this transitional stage and we'll have something a little bit more permanent in place that will resemble the educational structure that the kids are used to. In the meantime, we're all in it together, and we hope that they actually enjoy the week. Now, if we'll go back to the superintendent for a moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Roseanne and Susan, for giving all of that information on the high school schedule. I want to, again, thank Channel 19 for providing us this opportunity to give information to the community. But for further information, people should continue to watch Channel 19, because as the schedule changes, as we have more information, Channel 19 will be airing that information. And I would also like to remind people that if they want recent updates from the high school specifically, that there are two numbers that can be called on a regular basis. 721-7020 will give a phone message update. And if you want to talk to someone specifically about a problem or a question or an issue, 729-2084. And obviously, you are more than welcome to call my office at 721-7004 for any kind of information or help that we can give you. If you have concerns, questions about anything, please do not hesitate to call. We're all working together in a situation that can be very, very stressful, and we want to make people have a better feeling because they have better information. Thank you very much.